I really rely on the principles. What are the principles? What is your objective? You want to go as fast as possible. You want to get as much rotation as possible. You want to brake as late as possible. And the rest kind of fits. You adjust to it very quickly when you have the principles sorted out.
You're listening to Drive Sport, the amateur track driver podcast. Here's your host, DMC.
Hello and welcome back to Drive Sport. My name's Dave, but for this show I like to go by DMC. I am a track instructor, an enthusiast like you, and my job is to help you get on track, have fun, stay safe, and get your car home in one piece. And what we're going to do here is something special. This is part 2 of my interview with Suellio Almeida. And if you haven't met Suellio online or seen his stuff, he is one of the leading instructors when it comes to not just sim race driving, but also in real life race driving. He has over 200 million views on social media with hundreds of thousands of subscribers on YouTube. He also has over 12,000 students in his courses and his academy. And Suellio, we had such a great conversation, and he has so much wisdom to offer that I decided to break his episode into 2 parts. So we're now going to continue on here with part 2 of my interview with Suellio Almeida. I think that's probably the point that we're trying to make here is you want to drive on the track, also do the sim. It's going to help you be better, be safer, be faster.
100%. 100%. There's many ways, because I think here's one more problem, right? If you don't have a lot of knowledge of software and gaming and sim racing, you get lost very easily. And you have now every bias you want, every bias you can imagine for you to deny sim racing. I'm saying from the perspective of a real life driver, if you don't have proper support, if you don't really get through that first phase where you really get used to the software and to the feelings and everything, to the settings, it's very easy to have the worst settings possible, where everything is wrong. And then of course you're not going to drive fast, because you have to go through that first annoying phase of getting used to the new thing. So a lot of people get stuck there. So you need to make sure that the equipment and the software is well sorted before you even judge it.
Yeah, you're talking about a pain point for me right now. It feels like a difficult spot or deficiency in what's happening, which is how to know whether or not I actually have the thing set up right. Right? I mean, and I can go on YouTube, I can go to all these places, but it just seems so dense. Like I want someone to come to my house. I want to pay them to consult me and sit down and fix everything, because even if I follow someone else's recipe, the computer will be different. The distance of the seat will be different. There are just so many little factors. How do I know that I've actually set things up right?
From my experience, I've already identified some main issues that I can, in one coaching session, I can show you, hey, there's something wrong with this. Can you try this? Can you try that? In my new academy, I have lessons to confirm that you can do things. For example, before I teach you trail braking, can you brake 1% and can you brake 99%? Not 100, 99%. Because very, very common mistake is you have your pedal set very light, then you brake, it very easily reaches 100%, but effectively you're braking 500%. It only shows 100, but you're braking 500. And then now you're trail braking and the thing is still at 100. The car is now in full ABS panic mode. The car feels terrible when you're turning in. And you think you're trail braking, but the simulator is not reading any trail braking, right? So I show you need to brake 1%, 90%. You need to go very quickly from 1 to 99 without hitting 100, which is already semi-difficult if you're a beginner. And then you have to go down and look at the number 98, 97, 96, all the way to 1. And then back slowly. And then making sure that your foot is calibrated to the actual chart, to the actual range. That's one thing. And then the second thing is force feedback, make sure that it's not clipped and this and this and that. So yeah, there are some important things and some personal things, but it's very important that the important ones are not ignored.
Yeah. And that you need to take the time to set that up. And it's not something you're just going to jump in and start driving and it's going to be right. It's going to take hours, tens of hours of driving and making one adjustment at a time, right? We're just going to calibrate the brakes now, and then we're going to race for a bit and see about that. And then we're going to move the seat position, and then we're going to race for that. And then just small improvements over time, because if you make lots of changes, you don't know which one made things better. That would be at least my suggestion for that.
Yeah, exactly. For me, as long as you can do the inputs properly, you can do the string theory. That's one thing that I teach too.
Can you explain that?
It's imagining that there's a string, a rope connecting the steering wheel to the brake pedal. So when you press the brakes and you start turning the steering, that string pulls your brake up in a linear correlation. So the more you turn, the less you brake. And I teach different types of strings. So there's one exercise where it's 90 degrees to 1%. So 0 degrees, 100% brakes. And then you start releasing slowly to the point where when you reach 90 degrees, you're braking 1%. And I want you to practice that correlation.
You mentioned before the concept of people being afraid of braking. I've also heard you talk about being afraid of steering and using the steering wheel as much as you should. Could you elaborate on that just a little bit?
Yeah. So the biggest reason people are afraid of steering is because in some areas of the corner, a little bit of steering is already enough to get into an oversteer. And that's corner entry. If you're trail braking and you're starting to turn into the corner, you have high engine braking, you just downshifted, the car is really prone to oversteer at that initial turn-in phase. If you turn in a little bit too much, you can spin, right? So because your initial reaction, your initial experience on turn-in is, oh, a little bit of steering will make me spin. By the time you get mid-corner, where your speeds are low, the engine braking is low, you're not trail braking as much. That's the moment you have to use the steering. But now you're just traumatized from corner entry. And you end up carrying that fear of steering more. And you end up not turning where you should turn the most. So that's why a lot of people crash on corner exit, actually, because they had a little trauma on corner entry. Then they were under the limit mid-corner because they were afraid. But now they missed the opportunity to rotate the car. When they get back on power, the car needed that extra 5 degrees of rotation that they missed out on mid-corner. And then now they're going wide. And what do they do there? Now they see they're going wide, they're going to add more steering, but now they're very fast, they're on power, and that extra steering causes you to actually oversteer and spin. So you see, there's places to be careful, there's places to force the car, and there's places to be careful. And it's very easy to mix those things up because of emotion, because of fear, and because of a lack of understanding where you're able to, force the front tires and where you should be more precise with it.
Which I think highlights one incredible strength of using the sim to supplement your real life driving, which is, I know in particular, iRacing, you can mark a spot and you can say, all right, I'm, 100 feet out from the turn. I'm going to mark that spot and then I'm going to drive through it and play with how much steering and how much braking and everything. And then you just hit the reset button and you're just back at it. That'll never happen in real life, right? But in a sim, you could practice one corner 100 times in the space of an hour. And you're going to really, really fine tune those moments. I've found that as an incredible tool for learning.
Yeah, 100%. It's very, very useful to try the same corner all the time, like we would do in music, right? You're not practicing the whole piece of music all the time. You're going bar after bar, and then you're trying some phrases, and then you repeat. You do one hand, then you do the other hand, then you put them together. So the sim allows us to have a little bit of that experience by trying to section a part of the lap and just practice one thing specifically.
Yeah, there we go. It's that tie-in back to music. So another thing that I have learned, I think, with working with you and just in general, the more I've driven, is that in a sim, there are kind of two major categories. There's the GT car and there's the formula car or open wheel. And I have seen that there are some significant differences in how you approach things, for instance, in terms of braking. And I would say that most of my audience are GT drivers. They're driving a sports car on track. So what are the differences in techniques between the two?
Funnily enough, I don't really teach those differences as much because the way I teach the principles of racing give you the tools to adapt to each car naturally. So I don't change that much my driving between a Radical and a TCR. Yes, there are some differences, but again, those differences are within those ranges. It's not like, I have to suddenly build a totally different driving style. I'm still following the same principles. I want to maximize the grip on all 4 tires from initial braking to late exit. I guess that might even be somewhat of a disappointing answer, but it really, like, you don't have to put them in very different buckets. You just need to put them like in opposite sides of the same bucket.
I think where I got that from it was when I was working with Connor and he was noticing that I was getting on the brakes really, really hard and releasing them a little bit quicker. And he made the comment that I was driving it more like a Formula car, but I wasn't going to be able to get away with that in a Cayman GT4. So was that accurate and necessary, or was that, a misunderstanding?
That was within the bucket. Yes, that was within the range. It's because a car with a lot of downforce has always air compressing the front tires. So the front tires feel like you're trail braking even when you're not sometimes, depending on the downforce that you have. And a car with low downforce really relies on your trail braking, so it's going to punish you more. So yes, he was right. Obviously, like if you try to drop the brakes a little bit too fast in a Formula car, you might still get away with it. In some cars, honestly, if they're not super well balanced, they really require that. A Formula 4 in real life, you really shouldn't trail brake a lot. The trail braking is still there, but it's so compressed to a level where the front tire is already almost lifting because the suspension is so stiff. And if you do the slightest trail braking, you're already locking the front tires. So now you have to sacrifice that, and you have to rely on the engine braking to turn the car into the corner. So there are some adjustments that you have to do constantly depending on the car. And for a low downforce car, you definitely can't drop the brakes. As soon as you do that, the car is just gonna plow.
Well, and maybe a better way to phrase that is every car has different physics involved. And you learn the techniques that you're teaching so well and simply, and then you apply those techniques to each car, and you're going to have to adjust based on what the car's, braking, the weight, the downforce, all of that. And the more time you spend getting to know that car, the better. And in fact, that raises a question. Like, one of the things that I do, because I drive on track, I drive a GT4. I want to drive more often something like the GT4 Club Sport on iRacing, or also like I daily a 911. So because I have familiarity with that, I'll try to drive like the GT3R or something like that. Is that necessary? Am I just making myself feel good, or is there value in approaching things that way?
I think if you're using that as your main guidance to find the limit, I think it's too many steps.
Okay.
It's kind of like a waste of time rather than, oh, this is how this car feels if I try this, and my objective is this, so I'm going to do this. Rather than, oh, in the other car, I do this, in this car. Like, if you start adding steps to your thought process, you're being less efficient. So again, I really rely on the principles. What are the principles? What is your objective? You want to go as fast as possible. You want to get as much rotation as possible. You want to brake as late as possible. And you want to get those lateral forces as much as possible. And the rest kind of fits. You adjust to it very quickly when you have the principles sorted out.
I love it. That's what I teach in my business stuff, by the way. We focus on the fundamentals. We focus on the principles because the principles are always true, even if the circumstances are different. So that's what I'm hearing you say is the principles of good, sound driving are always true, regardless of the car you're driving, regardless of the track you're on.
Exactly. Yeah, precisely.
Which leads to, let me just ask you a little bit about the new academy. You're working on this. I know that you're head down and getting this up. What can people expect if maybe they were a part of your previous academy, or if they're just coming to it for the first time?
The people from the previous academy have been the drivers of every improvement that we did. So they gave us a lot of feedback. Oh, it would be cool if we did this, or if we had this. To be honest, a lot of my business development actually came from feedback from students. Like, I created a course because I had too many first sessions where I was teaching the same things. So I was like, okay, I'm going to create this course. And then the session after the student takes the course is so much more efficient. And the course itself is worth 3 or 4 sessions worth of information, right? So they learned so much. And then these students from the first course were like, okay, I have a problem now. I'm driving way too fast. I qualify on first, but I don't know how to race. So the audience, they requested me to do a racecraft course. So I made a racecraft course. And now they were like, okay, now we want to, practice together. Let's make something, like I want to be able to have a proper path, like a roadmap. So I created the academy with the challenges, and now I started organizing everything according to their needs. And this Almeida Racing Academy 3.0 is the same thing. We are just adjusting and making everything according to what our 12,000 students have been giving us feedback and what they want to make it the true perfect system, which is never going to be perfect. But like every year we get closer and closer to giving them, everything they need, to the point where now we're going to have an actual integrated telemetry system with an automated telemetry system where you're trying to do the challenges. And as soon as you hit the bronze medal in the challenge, we're going to automatically show you the bronze medal in the website, and you're going to get a notification on Discord, and everyone is going to see on Discord that you got the bronze medal.
That's cool.
And then we're also working on an AI chatbot that helps you within the website what to focus on, that will go through telemetry with you and say, oh, you have to work on these specific lessons because it's going to help you get to this input. Because again, one of the biggest differences between me and other coaches is that I never want to just tell you what to do, because what to do, you can see on telemetry. You can go on YouTube and watch some fast driver doing it. But what is the thought process inside your head that will lead to that input without you having to be a copycat all the time? The main goal is to create autonomy for the drivers. And this new academy is going to have pretty much everything. It's going to have a series on car handling, the main one, a series on racecraft. It's going to have its own league with broadcasted races. We're going to have pit parties. So pit parties are events with everyone where we literally go out of the pits at the same time and start killing each other, fighting for position, no hard feelings. You can crash if you want. And then after 5 minutes, we reset back to the pits and start again. Why? Because it's very difficult for you to practice race starts. So we simulate 20 race starts in an hour.
Oh, that's so cool.
And we show it. Here, like you did this, you did that. We literally show you how to be a dirty driver. Why? Because we want you to protect yourself from dirty drivers. We want to show you the little tricks. How can you pit maneuver someone who's dive bombing you? How can you do this? How can you prevent yourself from being pit maneuvered if someone is being super aggressive? How can you survive a punt? There's a lot of little tricks that we teach to create actual beasts, and I'm not trying to be, I want to teach people how to drive clean. No, I want to teach my students to defend themselves on track. I want to teach them to be actual competitive drivers.
That's so genius, because that really is the most frustrating part of any of those online events. You said, iRacing has a race that runs every 30 minutes or so. Well, that's great. But if you're gone in the first minute,
yeah,
because someone didn't know what they were doing, right? And they
exactly
didn't have good racecraft. That's such a great skill to develop, because you do have to be aware of what's happening, not in front of you, just in front of you, but behind you, and prepare and see the signals of the other driver and go, oh, this guy is being over aggressive and I need to prepare myself accordingly. Right. That's genius. What's the place that people can go to follow this, be aware of when this goes live?
My YouTube, I'm gonna start posting a lot of ads. So Suellio Almeida, my YouTube, my Instagram, the website, Almeida Racing Academy. We'll also have a lot of information. We're launching it on the 28th of November. The launch week is going to be heavily discounted, and the discount is going to carry over forever. So if you join, it's a monthly subscription now. The prices, we're making it pretty much like 6 to 8 times cheaper than before, because I'm opening the market now and opening my school for a younger audience who was not comfortable paying $200 for an online course. Now we're going to have a membership that's monthly that includes everything. So you pay for that month, you have access to the league, to all the courses, to the challenges, to the feedback from the AI, for the telemetry. Everything is going to be included in that one membership. And then if you want to continue working, if you want to continue with the streams and with the actual like championship that we host, then you can continue with us. We're going to be posting new courses all the time. And yeah, that if you get in on the first 2 weeks, you're gonna have that same discount is gonna carry over as long as you stay in the academy as a member.
Okay, well then we definitely want to subscribe to your YouTube channel and follow you for that, and be aware of when that goes live.
The level one and most of the courses too are going to be free. So each course will have a level 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. For example, the car handling series, the new car handling series, it has 4 levels. Well, level 1 is safety and consistency. Level 2 is balance and speed. Level 3 is cornering precision. Level 4 is mastery. Level 1 is free. So you can create a free account and already get it's actually a lot of lessons and a lot of exercises for free that I guarantee can already put you to the top 10% drivers. So I calculated the lessons and the stages in a way that the level 1 puts you top 10% in iRacing. The level 2 puts you top 5%, and then top 2.5% on level 3. And then level 4 can, if you do everything right, can put you in the top 1%.
Yeah. So everyone listening to this should look that up. That's the Almeida Racing Academy, correct?
Yeah.
And this is not just for people who are racing on the sim. These are skills, especially on that level 1, that are going to be applicable to everyone listening to this when you're driving on the track. So you should subscribe to that and be a part of that. So Suellio, what I like to do at the end of every interview is I ask a pit stop question, and then I ask some hot lap questions. So the first one's designed to help us all think and learn from each other. And then the last ones are just kind of quick fire stuff to get your quick take on things.
Perfect.
Okay. So the pit stop question that I ask everyone deals with someone learning from your mistake. So what is the most expensive lesson that you've learned that maybe someone else can avoid if you explain how that happened?
Neglecting the simulator before my real life events. Thinking that I already knew things in the simulator before going to racing weekends that cost $40,000. And I was, a few tenths off compared to what I could be if I added 4 more hours of practice before the event. And this was actually this year. The guy who preaches sim racing all the time, was not putting enough time on the sim and was neglecting it, assuming that I didn't have anything else to benefit from it. And I was actually suffering with that. In the last part of the year, my manager forced me to practice a little bit more. I went and put an extra 5 hours per weekend, and everyone in the team was like, what is happening? Suddenly you're going so fast. And I'm like, yeah, well, I did some extra practice in the sim.
And that goes back to our earlier conversation about having repeated top of Mount Stupids. Right?
Yeah, pretty much.
And that was one of yours. Even the guy who teaches it all, even you can reach the top of that mountain from time to time.
Yeah. No one is immune to that.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Okay. So the hot lap questions. First is favorite car that you've driven on track.
Porsche Cup. Oh my God, the Porsche Cup at Yas Marina. It was difficult to actually drive because I was just enjoying it so much. And it was just is this a dream? Why am I 270 kilometers per hour on the straight at Yas Marina, just bouncing, flying before the braking zone, and just seeing that and the sound and the brakes and the power and the ABS and the traction control and the balance, everything was so perfect. And the Porsche Cup is really the race car. If I had to choose one race car forever to race, that would be the one.
Fantastic. Love it. Bucket list car you haven't driven.
Probably a Ferrari GT3 or an LMP2.
Love it. Most proud track driving accomplishment.
Sonoma. Guys, go on YouTube and type Sim Racer versus 3 pro drivers. You're going to see the thing. It was crazy. It was me versus 2 WEC drivers fighting for the championship, and they were behind me for 30 minutes, and I was driving so hard. I was on full sim racing esports mode, leaving no space and taking so many risks, really being as perfect as I could be, and still they were right there. No matter how hard I tried, they were right there. And that was the race that I needed to nail to win the championship, and I was able to become champion. So it was really this weird dream day that felt off, felt really weird. It didn't feel like reality, but I was there. I allowed myself to. I didn't drive that car. I think the universe drove that car through my body. That's pretty much how I describe it.
I love
it just happened. It just happened.
Yeah. Oh, what a great accomplishment. Favorite track to drive? Let's do both in real life and favorite that you've driven in a sim that maybe you haven't driven yet in real life.
I don't think I can answer this question because I think choosing one would be a disrespect to every other track.
All right, I'll take it. We'll allow it.
But I would like to race at Nordschleife in real life. That's my favorite one in the sim.
You're the guy who's giving advice to others and helping them coach. My question is, what's the best piece of driving advice you ever received from someone else?
I know exactly what it was. It was from a coach called Racine Fizzoui. He was one of my coaches in the Radical season. And he said, listen, like the car has a balance and you're constantly adjusting for that balance. You're constantly compensating for the balance with your pedals. So if the car is oversteering a little bit, just be on 10% throttle. If it's understeering a little bit, just be on 10% brakes. And you're constantly adjusting that. Obviously, that piece of advice was a little bit like to a higher level already when we were talking about like really, really micro inputs. But as soon as he said that, I really lost my fear of mid-corner oversteer because I always knew that I had that 10% throttle to balance it for me in real time, pretty much. So that was the best piece of advice. It's like you are always in charge of the balance of the car with your pedals. And to every fraction of a second, you can adjust for it. There's no point where, oh my God, it snaps, I'm going to die. No, like if it snaps, you can correct it. And at some point, you will predict when it's most likely going to snap so that you're more quickly ready to make a correction or sometimes even a prevention of it. If you know it's oversteering, but you really want to like turn the steering. So you do both. You turn the steering and at the same time, you're expecting it to oversteer. As soon as it starts snapping out, you touch the throttle and then you correct it. So that piece of advice really stuck with me. It also affected the way I teach people. So it was one of the most important ones. I'm super grateful for him.
Love it. Last question. What's one thing you want every amateur driver to do?
Drive at Sebring.
Really?
Yeah. It's just such a fun thing. I mean, if you're talking about like advice for racing technique, definitely get a sim.
And it doesn't have to be the best to start, right? Just having one with pedals and a wheel is already going to make a difference.
Just get iRacing and try to do a few races with actual people. You're going to be humbled at first. So get humbled a little bit and really try to get, getting the jungle.
Yeah. And I agree with that feeling, by the way, of the humility that you're going to experience early on. You think you know what you're doing, but you don't until you really try to go head to head with someone on the track. Suellio, this has been a joy talking with you. Your YouTube channel is Suellio Almeida, SuellioAlmeida. Any other place you want them to go specifically to follow you? Instagram, perhaps?
Instagram and YouTube is where I post most of the stuff. If you want to get into coaching, just go to my website, almeidaracingacademy.com. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate on DM me, send me a message on Instagram or send me an email through the website as well. I'm always available.
Wonderful. Thanks so much for sharing your wisdom with us. Like I said, I'm a big fan. It's been an honor to talk with you and have you share your knowledge with my followers.
Thank you so much, man. Always an honor. Love having these conversations. It's amazing. Again, it's what I love. So super grateful. Thank you.
And thank you, everyone, for listening. If you have any questions or a guest suggestion, you can send that to show@drivesport.co. Eyes up. Stay fluid.
You've been listening to Drive Sport, the amateur track driver podcast, hosted by DMC and produced by Drive Sport LLC. Research and assistant production by Victoria Bidez. Music is by Illigot via Premium Beat Licensing. If you have a question, guest suggestion, or a track DMC should visit, please send it to show@drivesport.co. Please subscribe to Drive Sport on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you like to get your podcasts. And follow us on social media at Drive Sport Co. We'll see you in the next episode.
Track days are fun, but also unpredictable. That's part of the thrill. When the unexpected and expensive lesson happens, you'll be glad your car is protected by OpenTrack Insurance, found at drivesport.co/insurance. OpenTrack offers full vehicle coverage and liability insurance, something you just don't find with most track day policies. And if you're a true track rat like me, they even offer annual coverage, so you're protected at every event throughout the year. It's a great deal. Get a quote today at drivesport.co/insurance. You can drive safer, be more confident, and have more fun knowing your car is protected by OpenTrack. Visit drivesport.co/insurance.